Hello, welcome and welcome back. This is Jacob, and today we are gonna be finally continuing the narration and character voice acting for the main story of Arknights. And you might be looking at the screen right now and thinking like, we are covering a lot of story today, aren't we? I will explain, but to make it very simple, you are currently listening to The Past Jacob. And I'm recording this prior to me actually reading because of four points, or rather one of the 4 points that I'm gonna rattle off very quickly here at the beginning to the intro of this chapter. But yeah, you're currently listening to a pre-recording, and I will later hand it off to a future version of me that will guide you through the rest and narrate and voice act through the rest of the story, or rather the beginning of the story. That might sound weird, not for me. Anyway, so before we begin, quick four points that I want to go over with you all. First and foremost, to anybody new to both the channel and to the game of Arknights, welcome. I hope you enjoy your stay. Fantastic story, fantastic world, fantastic characters. It will make you sad, it will make you cry probably, especially if you're the emotional type, and enjoy a very well written story, even if it's a bit strangely paced at the beginning. It will ramp up, trust me on that one. But if you are obviously new to Arknights and you have not caught up to the story up until this chapter, I mean, you can continue, but all I can say is you'll be very confused because the plot is obviously a continuous plot. However, these days you have multiple ways to go about that. Outside of obviously just reading yourself up until this point, you can either go and watch the anime, which will help you cover the initial act of the game, the Hour of Awakening, pretty much carrying all the way to the end of the Misha arc. And nowadays you also have, and we should be, as this episode goes live, around the middle of the current season 2 of the main story, which is covering the Frostnova arc. And it's probably gonna end right here, but that is just a prediction. We don't know yet because obviously the season is not over. But yeah, if you want to have an easier time to digest the story and visualize the world and the characters, the anime exists. It can be easily found and watched, so go and enjoy. It will definitely be a good romp. Also, if you want to see the entire story and just sit back, kick back, and watch the story, you can obviously do it through this channel right here. You can just put up the playlist and keep on listening. The entire story is up until this newest chapter right now, and soon to be, and this newest chapter also soon to be added to the whole shebang, is completely narrated, voice acted, and it has a couple of extra little details that obviously will not be covered in other places like the anime. But those are most of your options, and of course, if you just quickly search through YouTube, you can find channels that are abridging entire chapters and stuff, condensing them into a couple of minutes if you just want to quickly remind yourself of some stuff from the past. Right, that is point number 1. Point number 2 would be connected stories to the main story, like intrinsically connected. And we now have actually 4. Up until this point, I would be listing off the usual 3, but now we have a 4th one. But let's go in order, or rather in no specific order. We have the Arknights memoir, a story connected to W. Hoarder, Ines, Babel, Rhode Island, and the entire shebang. Very interesting to see, and obviously fills in a couple of blanks and showcases the relationship of these 3 characters in the past, and yeah, a lot of extra stuff that you might not expect from this story. Our second one on the list is A Walk in the Dust, a story focused on kal'tsit, jumping across a couple of decades of her journey through the world as she stumbles through a couple of scenarios, and we get some interesting stuff about some interesting things from the world, and the connection to Rhode Island that will later happen. Now, for our third one, I do need to go into the archives, into the special operations, is the Vigilo or Vigilo series, however you want to pronounce it, or rather the vignette side story Vigilo. It is a collection of side stories that is essentially mainly focused on the Doctor, their past and their current present past the Act 1 of the main story. Like I just said, especially if you're new to Arknights and are listening to this, I would recommend this one to be consumed after finishing Act 1 of the main story. It will feel much better, considering that it falls back to a lot of stuff from Act 1, connects to certain other things, and also this final bit will probably be another piece that is good to consume after you're done with Act 1. So that is our third one. Our fourth one is right in here, sadly not in the terminal menu yet, is a very freshly added complete side story, Where the Firelight Casts. A side story that I would put number 1 at this point. That and probably Darknight's Memoir to be like, this one, sorry, Firelight first, and then you can jump back to Darknight's Memoir. But this one is like yeah, you should maybe familiarize yourself very well with this one first. Because Where the Firelight Casts is a very intrinsic, from at least my perspective, companion piece to the main story, especially because it continues after episode 9 and runs in parallel with like later episodes 10 and 11. Maybe even parallel with this current story. I have not, obviously, as you've just seen, read yet anything. Maybe it's even running parallel to where we are currently in the main story, but I guess we'll see when we start through that one. But yeah, very important, not just because it explains or showcases the past between Reed and her sister, but also expands on the entire plotline, plus background to Victoria and the Tarans, and of course, the way it leaves off, and I'm not spoiling it here of course, but the way it leaves off does leave you with the impression of this will feed itself back into the main plotline. But yeah, that's the 4 stories. I would recommend at least Firelight Casts and the Darknight's Memoir at least, for now. Now, point number 3, and this is mostly for you guys who are going to be leaving comments in the comment section below. Do keep the comments to just what is in the episodes. What I'm saying here is point number 3 on my list is please no spoilers. Please no spoilers for future stuff and so on, because I do know that obviously people know some stuff from future events. I'm always trying to not see any kind of plot or images from plot from future chapters and side stories, because I just know too much personally, and if I even see a single image, my brain will concoct what the hell is happening. And I will be very displeased, at least for myself, but also for future obviously viewers who are going to be watching this post this just released time window, so no one gets spoiled essentially in the chat, in the comment section below. So thank you very much. And point number 4, and this is why I'm recording this before I start reading, is at the end of the previous chapter, and I don't remember all of it from the top of my head, but I do remember three predictions essentially that I placed on this chapter. One of them is more of a I really hope this happens kind of scenario, not really a prediction, but I'm still putting in this top 3. 2 are related to character fates. Now, let's go with the one that is technically not a prediction, just what I want to happen, and that is, oh my god, let Ines, Horderer, and W meet. Holy shit, let them meet. I want to see this disjointed family meet again. It's been so long. But yeah, partially joking aside, pretty much just my personal wish. I hope there's even just one single minute of them meeting at some point during this chapter. But we'll see. I obviously don't know now, but we'll see. Number 2 on this list is the fate of one Golding. Now, I predicted 3 outcomes from her. 2 are very similar to each other, but the hopium copium for her, considering that Molly, who is currently with her, is Well, she is a imposter. She's sus. I'm surprised that the character is not wearing a red suit. But as we know, Molly is currently replaced by someone else, and that someone is pretty much spying on Golding. And I can only see two likely and one hopeful scenario. The hopeful being that she gets saved at the final moment, even if she gets injured or almost killed by someone from either Rhode Island or the Resistance, or someone, just someone. The other two scenarios are very similar, and they're both what I'm predicting to be her demise in all of this. And scenario number one is pretty much our shape-shifting little ding-dong is just gonna get enough information out of her, or deem that they got enough information and just straight up kill her, straight up off her. Or we are gonna get a scenario where they will reveal themselves in front of Golding, tell them how things are standing, and are gonna offer them a token of goodwill and tell them to kill themselves. I do not want any of those scenarios, but I've seen too many and heard too many stories where stuff like that ends in a, well, similar way, especially if the person is of kind of a noble background and descent. So, yeah, hope that doesn't come true, but we'll see. And finally, the third big one is kind of a I will not believe you until you show me the body scenario, and that is the fate of Allerdale. Now, once again, she in the previous chapter pretty much just let our group, aka the siege group, escape together with Totter out of the catacombs as the door behind them closed, that massive door, and she remained there to keep the steam armor in check. But you did not show me the body, and I will not believe you that she is dead, especially not how much the chapter was building her up, and that last moment flip. She is, in my mind, in one of those categories where she flipped to a bad guy to become the good guy again, and I think there is more to this arc to her than just leaving her down there to die together with the steam armor. I think she's gonna be back. Now, how she's gonna be back, is, if that happens, is a bigger question. Is it gonna happen through something like the steam armor recognizing who she is or who she's descended from, because she is descended from a militaristic line, and the steam armor will help her escape, and she then goes to pick up her all heritage armor? I don't know, maybe? Or will she come out of the catacombs piloting that steam armor? If that happens, I do not want to know how the pilot inside of that steam armor looked, because that dude is fused with that thing. Ugh. But anyway, that is kind of my weird... That is not even a prediction. I'm just placing that out there because, like I said, this story is way too well written. And if a credible character doesn't at some point appear and tell me specifically, or us the readers, that yes, Allerdale is dead, I saw the body, I will not believe it. I will not believe it. You did not show the body, therefore character is in a big question mark. But that is, I think that is done. The intro is long enough. I just wanted to rattle it off here very quickly at the beginning, so apologies for the long intro. And all I can say now is, well, future Jacob, would you be so kind? Alright, I guess, thank you, past Jacob? This must be the best transition ever. Anyway, hi, this is future Jacob speaking right now. I know, the voice is deeper for some reason. I don't know what I'm doing. Hi. We shall finally now begin, and as you can see on the screen, this is the amount of story that we are going to be covering today. We shall cover from the initial introductory cutscene on 12.1 all the way to 12.4. And of course on 12.4 we will also get a tiny little entry here in our little cleaners collection, which we shall read once we are done with that stage. All the stages are also cleared already on adverse environments, so as per usual, I will be doing the narrations for the different enemies that are being added throughout this chapter, and in between, like the before and after part, like usual, considering there's gonna be a lot of them and it's gonna be easier to track them this way. And of course, they fulfill a role here as well, so it's kind of interesting to see them also evolve as time goes by. But yeah, enough chatting. Let us begin with our first part here. 12-1, our introductory cutscene, titled Heatwave. The soldier seems to like the hot wind blowing on the deck. It reminds him of the warmth of the fire when cooking supper back home. New red weed seeds, a burden beast saddle. Male operation unit looking for previously owned. Spine massager, may need mail order. 2 woolen coats, Swinton's tailor shop. Dad's needs its hem trimmed short. The Romans of Ivus. I crossed it out. I said I forgot. Grab some cheap candy to tie the kids over. Ask George if you can borrow his medal. Pierce. Yes, Captain. I heard your leave was approved. Yes, I suppose it went rather well. It's all thanks to that baby face of yours, lad. The brass occasionally want to put up a facade of caring about their subordinates. They call it good branding. I guess the brass happened to be in a good mood. The mill back home stopped working and the old carpenter there broke his leg again, so my mother asked me home to help out. 10 days of leave, minus 8 days on the road. A day and a half is more than enough for me to deal with that rickety antique. I left an extra half day open just in case my dad needs help tilling the other part of the field. Oh right, I should pick up another dozen work gloves. The ones back home are past their prime. Is this a shopping list? That's right, Captain. Just so nothing is missing. I don't know when I'm going to get time off again. Hopefully you've earned yourself a real medal or two by then. Of course, all for Victoria. That's the kind of ambition I want to see, lad. I once knew a bloke named Todd. He and I fought against those spire casters out on the frontier, and he earned himself a solid gold medal. Went to become a game director for some reason. Keeps reselling that one game every year. Still the same, just looks a tiny bit better. I don't even know anymore. What a beautiful thing that was. Glittering as it hung on his chest. It shone so brightly nobody could take their eyes off it. Our beloved Duke Windermere personally awarded him the medal, which is the highest of honors for any soldier. But at the celebration banquet later on, old Todd had a bitter look on his face. Can you guess why? Because he wasn't satisfied with the merits he earned? No. It was much worse than that. He couldn't lift his mug to take a swig of beer. His hands got replaced with a pair of wooden prosthetics. The veteran officer grins, showing a mouthful of yellow teeth. The young soldier laughs dryly. He knows this is one of the officer's many poor jokes. The wind is so strong on the deck that the soldier has to hold on to the brim of his hat, letting out a loud yet harmless sneeze. No matter the season or weather, standing on the deck of a prancing high-speed battleship always makes one want to wrap himself in his coat. And I do want to point out here, I love whenever they present these shots of like either these high-speed battleship cruisers or just these cities from the side, and you just get like a scope of how big this goddamn thing is and it's moving on land. This is insane. Anyway, the young soldier thinks to himself, Wells is in charge today. How many cans of rations did that pudgy bald man swipe? But the creamy vegetable chowder he makes is without equal, and if fortune is on his side, that old bastard might even throw in a healthy serving of foul beast into the soup. He figures that he should leave after the sun sets, and he finishes dinner. The mobile fortress they're stationed in has already reached Londinium's vicinity. When the weather is clear, they can even see the pinnacle of the Shard on the horizon. After returning to the station, he'd board the logistics squad's transport vehicle and head to the nearest town first, where he'd be able to have a drink or two at the tavern. In the early morning, there'd be cobblers heading into town to sell their wares. 2 boxes of tobacco would let them hitch a ride. The young soldier recalls those barns from back home, always filled with the fermented smell of composted straw. Even now, the smell occasionally wafts to him in his dreams, making him want to pinch his nose, but at the same time, it represents an concoction with his hometown. Concoction? Connection, Jesus. If it only occurs occasionally, then so be it. He furrows his brows quietly, deciding not to continue deluding himself with these sentiments. Even if it's only occasional, he doesn't want to experience that stench again. He must admit, that is always the biggest impediment every time he returns home. Ugh, the fog's rising again. I'll never get used to Londinium's bloody weather. It was much better when we were stationed in Lithanian's outskirts, but at least you could enjoy a little sunshine in the afternoon. Go, tell the captain we can't see a thing at this weather observation outpost. Something's interfering with the radar too. We should head back. Castor's forces are all obediently maintaining formation. Gododin moved his man further back. Other than the few familiar faces in the forward team, Old Wellington's main force still hasn't shown up. Other than our dear Duke Windermere, the remaining 7 dukes are watching on from the sidelines. The patrol's over. Sir, that sarkaz... None of our business. The brass always have their own agenda. But I heard that Londinium's... Piers, I've been a soldier for over a decade. After drinking and playing cards, the most important thing I've picked up from being in the army is... Those rumors you hear are always bunkum and balderdash. Never pay any heed to them. The officers in the back have their eyes on the map and will take care of everything. Ours is but to do and die. And very quickly here, bunkum is just nonsense. The word literally translates to nonsense. Anyway, isn't it our duty to defend Victoria? Only they can decide what Victoria is, boy. Our job is simply to follow orders. Go and head back. Our day of peace is over. I ought to treat myself to a hot shower. This damn fog's making my bones ache. Maybe things have been too stressful these days. The young soldier begins to thank himself for taking some time off to unwind. The battlefield always puts people on edge, even more so when you don't know when or where war will break out, or who you can trust. He thinks to himself, it's a bit clammy. He lifts his hand to undo the first button of his shirt. Seeing as how his dear officer had just declared the end of the armistice, a little disregard for protocol shouldn't matter. He thinks of the fireplace back home. A few years ago, he came home wearing a brand new military outfit, unwilling to undo even a single button despite sweating profusely from the heat of hearth. For that, the young lass surely laughed at him for quite some time. The young soldier curls the corner of his lips. Heh, that's why I didn't bring you your sappy romance novel. Payback. Main cannon output is normal, confirming target destroyed. Good. Begin preparations for the next phase. The Dukes will react soon. Your Highness. Your Highness!
A new face?
Yes, Your Highness. I was just promoted from the mercenary unit by the General. It's the greatest honor. You've always been my...
It's an honor to make your acquaintance as well. What is your name?
My name is, I don't have a formal name. They just call me Elbow. Damn it, I should have picked a name from a book.
Elbow. Why that name?
It's nothing. I just got burned when I was drinking soup. I mean, it's a stupid story. Are they worthy of your attention, Your Highness?
You must have been holding your bowel too high.
No, it was plugged. That bastard ran into me. The next time I see him, I swear... Your Highness. Oh, I'm sorry, General. Your Highness.
You may leave. It seems you still have a lot of work to do. I heard they're serving creamy vegetable chowder at the airship garrison tonight. Don't miss supper time.
Thank you, Your Highness Farisa. When each battle ends, the sarkaz have a home to return to. We'll be able to return to Kazdal soon, right?
Of course. I prefer to be with them rather than with the aristocrats of the royal court. Each and every moment, the collective souls of the sarkaz force me to my knees, immersing me in our long and painful history. But these newly grown children, give me a tangible sense of the future. And what should we do with this future? Consign it to another round of wars sweeping across the land? When scorched earth spreads as far as the eye can see, will these new seedlings sprout as we hope? Hope is weighty as ever, Manfred.
Your Highness. In accordance with the military's commission's plans, a section of Londinium has been detached. As of right now, it has arrived at the designated location, parked between the main city and the Duke's encirclement. It will become the cornerstone and launchpad of our next offensive. This airship will also temporarily dock there. The Duke of Windermere should soon receive news that her high-speed battleship has been destroyed, but she also cannot ignore the threat this airship poses, which in turn will help the Naxxir King's front develop. In accordance with the Regent's instructions, we must next...
Take a look outside, General.
Manfred turns to look out the window. He is forced to admit that the carefully planned flames burning before his eyes are not as exhilarating as he had imagined. The firelight is blinding. Our war has finally broken out. According to the military's commission's projections, the Dukes will cautiously proceed with military operations within 16 hours. We have already made our preparations.
No, the war never ended. It is not only ranks ripping through other ranks that is worthy of the name of war. Those eyes lurking behind the curtains, those curses whispered in the dead of night, those suppressed cries are all war. Those compatriots who perished alone in the barrens, those robes dragged across the ground during the black processions, those Kazdal bricks and tiles sealed away in a collector's glass display case, are also war. War has always been a part of us. We simply pushed it out for all to see once again.
Even if the flames of war were ignited in Victoria, Kazdal has always been a part of the battlefield. I've always made many plans with the General about this.
No, Manfred, that's not what I was asking. I simply observed that beneath our feet, the shadow of this airship covers all indiscriminately. Put an end to it, General. If this ultimately is proven to be the only way for the sarkaz, then drown tears with tears and bury suffering with suffering.
This is the only way. I will carry out your will, Your Highness. You see that? No mistake about it. Looks like it came straight out of a storybook. The Arbiter of Destruction, the Prophet of Turmoil, Nightmare given form. So, you ever see that gloom pincer as big as a mountain, lugging along its chest of perfume? Yep, just like Red-Nosed Humber talked about. Nine said before you were in no condition to be drinking. I only had a sip. I don't have much time left. Leave me with my last bit of hope. Still remember that night on the snowfield, right? Everyone was freezing to death and Red-Nosed Humber told us about a strange legend from his village. Sorry, I signed on in Victoria. Oh, really? I thought Red-Nosed Humber died back in Ursus. He was a good guy. Took at least 4 of those patrol unit bastards with him. Damn it, you would have appreciated him and his stories. Gotta pour one out for him.
You're drunk again, Romanich. How many times do I have to tell you? Hand over the flagon.
I don't have much longer to live. Come on.
You've still got a long life ahead of you, if you listen to the doctor.
I hate doctors. They're all liars, all of them. I need these fluids. Let me see. He's asleep again.
Toss him a blanket. We can't be too far from Londinium now.
Yeah, if you're lucky, we'll be able to see those city walls in just over a week. It'd be faster if we could fix that piece of junk car. You don't see catastrophes too often around Londinium, but given the current situation, it's virtually impossible not to bump into any of the Duke's troops. And none of them are gonna welcome us. Then throw the sarkaz on top.
We need to be even more cautious during our subsequent operations. We need to find our trapped people, whether they still think they are people or not. Getting everyone back together is difficult, but we still feel the same pain and share the same sorrow. Those feelings never stop chasing us, and they force us to keep moving forward. I'm not saying that just to cope, but this is the only thing we can do with full peace of mind. Let us infected on the verge of despair know that they still have comrades out there, and that their lives are indisposable. Stay where you belong. Tallulah. 9. I'm just getting a breath of fresh air. Fine, I have my eye on you. Flames are burning. Out there, in the distance. They've been burning for some time now. Hopefully it's just a patch of wood struck by lightning. Our squad will cross over. Lightning, huh? I saw you were making stew back at camp. I was just helping out the cook. She still had 2 baskets of potatoes to get through. I gave it a taste. Wasn't too bad. Alina... I mean, an old friend once taught me a few things. I thought I had forgotten it all. If you're still willing to play a part before facing justice, I won't stop you. But you'd best remember who you are, Tallulah. We'll be watching you. All of us. I know. Start packing up. It's time to go.
I fell asleep. Damn it. Come on, Nine, take pity on this old man and let me have another sip. Otherwise I'm as good as dead today. Ugh. You see that? The edge of the sky is blood red. Red nose. Humbert said, he said that's, a good omen. A good omen, I tell you. He said I was the other shore? Victory? I don't exactly remember. Maybe it means tomorrow will be a good day, my friends. Stuff is moving, stuff is schmovin', as they say. Oh boy, this will be a chapter. Anyway, we are moving on to the training stage, which obviously I will not be adding as a battle stage into the narration, and there is no cutscene here, so we shall add only the title and description, and the units appearing on it. So then, titled Know Right from Wrong. The most dangerous thing on the battlefield is not the downpour of enemy fire you'll face, it's imposters trying to win your sympathy. And we get introduced to the mechanic here, which is to do with the Norport civilians and identifying them as either spies or actual civilians. And we get a description for the Norport civilians, saying here, ordinary folk scattered throughout Norport Borough, abandoned by Londinium and subjected to the Sarkaz's high-handed blockade. These orphans have become the ones most deeply affected by the haze of war. The other one that we get introduced is the first of the different spies here. Pathfinder Spy. A spy hired by a mysterious employer to monitor their rivals while disguised as civilians. Most are amateurs at gathering intelligence, and their impulsiveness and unorthodox practices often expose the secrets they think they're keeping safe. So yeah, this is the bottom tier of the spies that we get introduced to. But now we shall move on to stage 12-12, titled Reception Party. Fine, you're the symbol of Victoria's invincibility. Our savior's here to help us. Can we get going now? A lot of G's. So let's begin with the before part. We've confirmed that a high-speed warship belonging to the Duke of Windermere was attacked by an unknown sarkaz weapon. There was no survivors. Our preliminary conclusion is that the weapon in question is indeed the structure that briefly appeared in the skies over Londinium. Based on frontline evaluation from the remote observation team, the weapon's powerful mid-air suspension abilities and the efficiency of its Originium art generator deserve due caution. It is impossible to evaluate the Sarkaz's technological base for manufacturing large-scale armed aerial vehicles given the information we currently have. We are in the process of gathering more intel. However, until it has been proven that the Sarkaz possess the technological means to mass-produce such weapons, we would recommend against categorizing this target at the highest threat level for the time being, as countermeasures have already been deployed. It should also be noted that Norport Borough, Londinium's old logistics district, was separated from the main body of Londinium's city yesterday. The plate is now docked by itself between the city and the Londinium peripheral front formed by the various dukes. We have reason to suspect that the Sarkaz are trying to convert this plate into a forward operating base, using it to support their slate of large-scale military operations in the foreseeable future. It will likely also be used as a temporary stop for the large-scale Sarkaz weapon. The current commander of the Londinium Defense Forces, Lieutenant Colonel Letu, issued a statement claiming that Norport was accidentally separated from Londinium's main body due to technical reasons. A large number of Londinium citizens still remain on the plate, and the defense forces are preparing to launch a rescue plan for these citizens. The remote observation team has provided several photos taken on the scene. At the moment, we are not planning any large-scale operations against this plate. However, intelligence personnel believe that a series of irregular staffing transfers between the Duke of Windermere's mobile fortress and ironclad Galave over the last 8 hours is likely related to the situation in Norport. Several analysts have painted out that the Duke of Windermere's military claims to this plate are more radical than we previously anticipated, and the specific reasons behind this warrant a more in-depth investigation. We are monitoring the other Dukes' attitudes and subsequent actions in response to this sarkaz attack, and will be submitting routine analysis reports at shorter intervals. Awaiting further instructions.
Technical reasons. How unsophisticated. But it gets the job done. They know full well that we all care greatly about our own reputations, especially in the face of Victoria's coming future. So, they also decided to throw out a bit of bait. A flying fortress, huh? It pains me to say this, but as long as they're holding Norport Borough at gunpoint, things are going to get messy. Now, even Wellington doesn't have the nerve to rush over with his high-speed warship, rain fire down on the old logistics area, and snatch away his new toy. But he won't be able to resist the temptation.
Affirmative. The Duke of Wellington's troops have sped up their advance. We suspect he's already gained intel on the airship. This massive airship is indeed beyond our calculations, and it has the potential to reshape future wars, but as the intelligence says, we're far from the point of things spiraling out of control. According to our estimates, even if the Sarkaz had a secret channel for transporting supplies, they wouldn't have had the time or resources to build multiple airships. Those damn devils can hardly bring out the value of this technology, but perhaps we can.
That's right. Naturally, this is extremely important to me. Even if I don't give the order, I expect that you'll bring it to me. However, our gaze ought to be cast wider than just this singular piece of technology. What really worries me is... we've let the Sarkaz run amok in the Shard for far too long. Even the most dim-witted fools will eventually figure out what lies behind those buttons and levers. Allerdale, I don't blame her. She was never ambitious enough. That was her strong suit, and I allowed her to keep it. But it doesn't look like there's any way to make use of our Stone of the Sword.
Rest assured, the dukes who supported you along with their vassals are still resolutely on your side.
I promised them peace and safety, and I will deliver. Forever honor our commitments. That has always been the motto of House Castor, since ancient times.
Trilby Asher is already being dealt with.
Naturally. They always have a way.
Then, Your Grace, about the citizens of Norport.
Lieutenant Colonel Letu said that he was preparing a rescue plan. You won't go wrong putting your trust in that Gaulish commander. I've met him before. He's an interesting man. The Sarkaz have never publicly claimed to occupy Londinium, as it has nominally been under the control of the defense forces. And this Lieutenant Colonel has managed to survive in his position for 4 years without getting caught up in any major trouble either. We all know what those devils are like, so that fact alone is respectable enough. Who knows, maybe he's more keen of becoming a savior than we are.
I see what you're saying.
Getting the right people into the right positions and turning valued friends into truly loyal partners is harder than we initially expected. Old Wellington knows what I want, and I know what he wants. Though we've never talked about these things openly, we naturally helped each other, all while keeping an extra knife sharpened for one another. Poor thing. Windermere's been playing with the Lithanians for so long, it might be a while until she remembers how Victoria works.
Indeed, we still don't quite understand why the Duke of Windermere is so keenly interested in Norport's affairs. Does she also want that airship technology? Maybe she wants to add another card to her hand. She knows she's in for a rough time soon.
With opportunity comes desire. Both are as honey, equally effective at leading people into the abyss. That cousin of mine failed to understand this, which is why he's been dead for 26 years. You know, he still appears in my dreams from time to time. Can't say I ever liked him. He was a bombastic, self-righteous boy. When we were young, he'd run up and down the corridors of the place, spouting quotes from past kings he saw in some book. And he'd always spew the same trite platitudes. A role model for the masses, noblesse oblige, what have you. He treated those words as his guiding compass, though they probably didn't even come from the kings they were attributed to. In all likelihood, they were flattering embellishments added by the royal archivists. He actually believed those words and paid the price for it. But despite all that, I sometimes still miss him. During those years he was still around, we could pretend that all was well. But now even the dullest of men must open their eyes. Open their eyes and bear witness to all our ugliness, covetousness, and opportunism. War has broken out, and its advent has fulfilled everyone's wishes at all.
Your Grace, this is also your chance to unite Victoria.
Unite. Unity.
Victoria has been trodden upon and sullied for far too long. You have the right to restore her glory. This war is for Victoria.
No, no, my child. This war is not for Victoria alone. Victoria, how we love to speak the name of our country. No, it's nothing more than a rag to cover festering absences when the people are in need of morality, an empty husk to exploit hope when the people are in need of dignity. All those farmers, laborers, soldiers, and nobles, all these who despise each other, who grope at each other's throats. Why does lumping all of them together make the great Victoria? When they speak of Victoria, what is it they refer to? The fields they've tilled for half a lifetime? The factories they've gorged on their blood and tears? Collections of looted artifacts? Great halls of important carpets? A splotch of color with a line of text on an atlas? Or a news headline and a set of economic figures on a television set? Or is it the vast, glorious, and invincible empire built upon the foundations of each man's imagination? Let us prepare ourselves. Let us wait with bated breath. Take a good look and witness where this war will take us.
Good day, sir. Let me guess. You wanna be strung up on the fence too, huh? To be honest, I don't have a lot of fun with that job. I suggest you turn around and crawl back to where you belong. Oh, please wait, good sir. The others just wanted me to come to talk to you. That's not what I meant. We just have a few trivial issues, so if you could show us a bit of mercy. Where did you Victorians start taking us devils for a bunch of bleeding hearts? All we wanted was to know what's going on in Norport Borough. Nothing worth mentioning. What if... look, we can still scrounge up some valuable trinkets. Surely you've heard of the Sargon gems? I have a number of them here. Get lost. I get it, you're not interested, huh? I also have a collection of old Gaulish paintings that are said to be priceless. Oh, alright, but maybe I was out of line to say that. This is going to cost me my life, isn't it? How about a Sancta Patron firearm? I just happen to have one stashed away back home. Interesting. You got your hands on an Angel's Guardian gun, huh? Oh, it's not mine though, it's just for safekeeping. Heavens, those angels from the Notorial Horror are going to flame me alive if they find out, but if you're interested... I just happened to hear you, the sarkaz enjoy collecting them, so... Listen up, I prefer my angelic toys freshly looted from a pile of corpses. Now, piss off. Sarkaz, we just want to know what's going on. This is a perfectly legitimate request. So many of us have been driven out of our homes and crammed into a little ghetto with no place to live, no food and no freedom. Now all we want is an explanation. Are all of these houses not good enough for you? Pick a door, any door. Knock on one of them and get your sorry ass inside. What more do you want? A bathtub? And a built-in back massager? You can't treat us like this. We are the defense forces. I personally know Letu and want to speak with them. We haven't broken any rules.
That's enough, mister. Be careful. They're armed.
Let go of me. What do I have to be careful for? Listen up, Sarkaz. I've lived here for 30 years. This is my city. This is my neighborhood. I know you've taken over these factories. I know you lust after Londinium's wealth. So take it. Splitting off a few factories won't put a dent in Victoria's glory. But I am my own man. Not even a king can take my home. Tell me, why did Orba Burrow drive out of Londinium overnight? What's the meaning of all of these walls outside the borough?
Hey, are you trying to get yourself killed?
What possessed you into thinking that you could challenge my authority? Wait, please, good sir. He doesn't know what he's talking about. What a waste. Listen up, you sorry worms. To tell the truth, I'd like nothing more than to slaughter each and every one of you right now. Seeing your faces makes me sick, but the boss says you lot are still useful. So, I promised him I chose a little restraint. This is the grace I've afforded you, but now that I can take it back just as easily.
Hurry, run, get away from here!
Help! Run as fast as you can, pathetic Victorians! You've had your fun already. Now it's your time to get a taste of the life once forced onto us! Hide in every nook and cranny, hide beneath every shadow, rip up your morality and swallow your dignity. This is everything we sarkaz have experienced. Now rejoice, because it's yours too! Call it equality. This is the kind of equality you've never known. Explain myself. Answer your questions. No, this is war, you dipshits. Learn it, embrace it, just like we did for thousands of years. Where am I?
Stop your blubbering already. Did you think they invited you here for a picnic? You can guess where the people who weren't so willing to come ended up.
You're...
Call me Baird. You're hurt. I need your wounds dressed. Follow me.
And that obviously leads us into our first battle stage. However, we shall only add the new enemies added here. Which technically we have none. Yes, they do appear, the Sarkaz Greatswordman and the Sarkaz Swordsman, but we have added those in the past, so we shall just mention them that they start appearing from here. So, let's move on to the after part.
Alright, we should be safe here. Kador, it's still a mess outside. We're most certainly not in Londinium anymore. I reckon we can see the situation outside a plate from the top of the old loading tower, but I can't get near it. It's outside the restricted area. And I reckon even if you could spot anything, it wouldn't mean a thing. The sarkaz keep a close eye, and there are too many of them.
Alright. What's the old bloke story?
He was trying to talk terms with the sarkaz.
And how did that turn out?
Take a look yourself. There, that's about all I can do, bandaging your wound.
Thank you. Goodness, why? Just what happened? What else could have happened? The sarkaz have been in Londinium for 4 years now. You can't possibly still think they were invited here by that poor sod Cavendish as his guests, right? But they haven't ever... Haven't ever what? He must be one of those noblemen who never leave their mansions and need their maids to fetch their morning sissy milk. How'd you fall so low as to find yourself in Norport? No, I am but a scholar. I have merely run into certain troubles financially. As soon as I finish my manuscript, I shall... Drat, the manuscript is still in my study. There, you've really got a knack for fighting these poor down on their luck bastards, don't ya? Would you at least have some respect? If all goes well, it's very likely I will become the Royal Academies of Sciences' next academician. Very likely, huh? I still don't understand. The news kept saying that... All is well? What more do you want them to say? Friends and citizens sincerely regret to inform you that Londinium is now a shithole. The special instructions that they sent to the newspapers, offices and TV stations actually earned their keep, you know? Did you see whose flag they're flying above the munitions factory in the Highbury? If not, you've got to at least remember the fire in Auterig the other day, right? But the war, what about the defense forces, the dukes? Aren't they defending us all around Londinium? Oh, can this be? The sarkaz can't possibly triumph over the dukes, can they? The devils are a bunch of savages who cover in the wilderness, but Victoria is the greatest country across all the lands. Who told you that? Did you realize that out of nowhere while munching on a cake at home? I didn't feel that way at all when the dibbles held me up against the wall and frisked me. Alright, next academician. Off you go. You don't belong here. But where can I go? My flat is not in this lockdown zone and I haven't the slightest idea where my loyal servant is. I know no one here.
What can you do? Medical work? Sewing? Repair? Anything?
My research is heraldry. You scholarly chaps ever studied how to turn air into stakes? Well, it is by no means my area of expertise, but I'd imagine it's a little difficult. There, stop bringing these fancy lads back, will ya? He doesn't even understand sarcasm. We don't have a lot of supplies on hand here.
Maybe he can help Delphine manage the warehouse? Baird, stop trying to pass all your problems to me. I can't very well watch him die on the street. At times like this, we have to come together and unite as one. Even having one extra man on board is more power to us. Come together. I wish Parliament and the Dukes would learn from you people. We wouldn't have fallen to where we are today. You think they're not united enough? They were all very united when it came to hanging the king. That was... never mind. I just hope you'll be of some use, Mr. Next Academician. I shall do everything in my power. Though, speaking of which, who would all of you be? Who are we? Alright, welcome to our gym, the Slobberknocker. You can call us Glasgow. Heidi, how have you been? To tell the truth, I haven't any idea where you have been as of late. Ever since Mr. Adams, the bookshop owner, died, I haven't been able to reach you. It has been a long time since I last continued our work. Forgive me, my dear friend. I never hide anything from you, but I am truly very befuddled. You once told me that peace would come again, but I can't fool myself with false hope anymore. I can't hide in my room and pretend that everything we do is still meaningful. Right, we could look at things on a broader scale, the dimension of history. Of course, peace will come. It will, eventually. And war will undoubtedly shatter it in an even crueler way. I once thought we could win, and I still hope that we will win. But, Heidi, if everything that we have done amounts to nothing but self-comfort... No, not if. This might already be the truth. These books, these desks, and the school that may come crumbling down at any moment, how are they meant to stand up against the force of a new era? Heidi, I can't keep going anymore. What should I do? Lady Golding, are you alright? Molly, you're back. Are you writing a letter? No, this is nothing. I just remembered a few novels that I read before. The protagonists are always charming, suave, always heading to the front lines wearing a uniform befitting of them with a pipe in their mouths. But the authors never tell us which battlefield they head to and how the trenches smell. Those who are enamored of the protagonists, both women and men, taste fine desserts with anxious hearts. Of course, we all know these are just literary techniques. The stories always end happily. Authors with a little bit of ambition might try to build what the critics call a profound atmosphere. The stories are adorned with preventable deaths, and they are always the protagonist's comrades and dearest friend, dying in the trenches to shield the hero. In the end, the wretched enemy finds themselves defeated by the hero's sword, thus restoring justice and morality. And at his fallen friend's funeral, a solemn crowd gathers to remember his heroics, as petals symbolizing honor are scattered atop the casket. This is the most emotional part. The protagonist clenches his fist, wipes his tears, and looks forward toward the morning sun with resolve. And without fail, they always say that hope will come and all sacrifices will be meaningful. And that's where the author stops. Let the readers imagine for themselves that truly beautiful future. Let them bask in that stately feeling in the end. I'm surprised you read these kinds of novels. It was years ago. Everyone was that age once. I used to be obsessed with these books when I was still a young girl. I wasn't very attached to the protagonists, actually, but I was indeed obsessed with those deaths. Sometimes I imagine myself one of those heroes who sacrificed themselves for their cause, and the masses would sing my praises for the era I helped create, or, at the very least, my sacrifice. How childish. Later on, I thought I'd be clear-headed enough to see past these sugar-coated fantasies. But then, I started to notice there might be nothing inherently different between who I am now and who I was back then. Don't say that. You told the children yourself. Death is a solemn topic. Did I? I don't remember. Perhaps it was just the lectures that I've got so used to giving. How was procurement today? Not too bad. The situation on the streets isn't very serious. The prices at these shops haven't gone up, though there were more city defense soldiers than usual, and the sarkaz soldiers, they're not as secretive they used to be. But everyone is pretending as if nothing has happened, except what used to be Norport. There is nothing left except the support structures extending from the surrounding districts. What about those places? I need to apologize to you again. I should have never dragged you into this. It's just... Leto has his eyes on me, and every time I step out the door I find myself followed by several ill-meaning men. I had no choice but to make a gamble that you are not on their watch list. No, I'm glad to do my part for Londinium. It's just that the places you told me about were all pretty quiet. I used the passwords, but no one answered. Maybe they've already given up? No, they are all stronger than I am. Much stronger. But I found a letter. It should be for you, so I didn't open it. This isn't their handwriting. The letter has practically all the information on the Self-Salvation Corps communications. What? But how could it be? This is a threat. They know us like the back of their hand. Then what should we do, Lady Golding? Molly, I have another list of places for you. I've never been to these bases myself, but having analyzed the flow of information, they should be there. I shouldn't take this risk. This goes against our established practices, but this information is important to the Self-Salvation Corps, right? Many lives are on the line. Then we must do this. Molly, just as I thought you, watch out for anyone who could be tailing you. Whether they are sarkaz or not, do not let your guard down. Look for a girl called Clovicia there, or anyone who can get in contact with her. Tell them that the entire intelligence network has been exposed. They must evacuate immediately. Lady Golding, where are you going? To Leto's office. I will try to buy as much time as I can for the rest of you. But... relax. I'll be fine. I just hope I'm stronger than I think I am.
And just as a reminder right there, she pretty much handed out the information to our dear doppelganger buddy. Anyway.
Doctor, I had a dream. I saw the city shrouded in dark clouds, and blood-stained sarkaz flags flew above every building. Outside the city, originium grew everywhere my eyes could see. I saw a rusted throne towering above the lands. The masses kneeled before it, crying tears stained in black. I saw the person on the throne wave their arm, and the shouts that followed pierced the sky. Yet, in the shadow of the throne, the cowering men lifted their heads ever so slightly. I felt what they felt. I don't know how to describe it. It was so all over the place, so stifled. I could only make out what was on the surface. That pain and hatred. Who was that on the throne? Is this the future that the collective souls of the sarkaz foresaw? Or is this the duty of the King of Sarkaz? Did Theresa have this dream? Could this be the sights she is looking forward to now? No, it can't be. Doctor, this dream, it doesn't mean anything, right?
You're just exhausted. It's just a dream.
Thank you, Doctor. Right, it was just a dream.
Amiya, Doctor.
Is Dr. Kal'tsit better?
Hard to say. Her body was frail to start with, and her wounds are deep.
Shining has attempted several solutions, but all of them were limited in their effectiveness. She has yet to awaken. Monster seems to be slowly repairing itself. Likewise, we do not have any idea how well it will recover, or whether it can actually even recover. Doctor, at the Defense Forces Command Tower, if only I...
Everyone did their best. None of us expected to see Theresis there.
Dr. Kal'tsit. I never once imagined that Dr. Kal'tsit would one day be wounded this badly. She always solved all of our problems like they were nothing. She gave us the best advice for every situation. She's Dr. Kal'tsit. I've never ever seen her look tired. But now... Doctor...
The doctor takes Amiya's hand.
I know. I will bear the responsibilities that are mine to bear. Rhode Island's mission here is far from over. But I want to see Dr. Kal'tsit one more time. May I? Even if it's just sitting there by her bed for a short while.
Rather than staying with the wounded, you two have more important work to do. Closure wants you to know that she has finished analyzing the data from the command tower. Clovicia is calling a meeting. We need to reevaluate the situation in Londinium. Our initial plans have failed. Then please tell us what our steps should be. Alright, and we move on to stage 12-3, titled Benevolent Betrayal. Villains seem to always have the upper hand over the virtuous, not because they are stronger, but because they see morality as a weapon instead of a standard.
Amiya, Doctor, you're here. As you can see, the morale here is rather low right now. It's a mess, but please pay it no mind. Ever since Ellerdale left, our logistics have been in shambles. But given the problems we face, this is the best solution we have. We lost many men in our last battle. We once thought that these sacrifices would be in vain, but that as long as we stopped the sarkaz's project, everything would still be salvageable. Regrettably, they acted much faster than we anticipated. The sarkaz, not only do they have the shard, they also built that airship. The report has been distributed to everyone. The airship attacked the Duke of Windermere's army out in the open. The illusion of peace has shattered. As for the shard, if the sarkaz willingly started this war, then their control of the shard must have proceeded much further along than we expected. I'm too afraid to make this gamble. Ellerdale once told me the legend of the sword. She said that the Sigh of Kings, capable of rendering catastrophes asunder, is Victoria's strongest shield, with which the country can defend against the storms pulled toward it. Then she must also have told you that the stone of the sword beneath the palace exists precisely because there are few who can activate this power. Siege, do you really feel nothing from the sword? Maybe, I don't know, like a sense of being summoned, or perhaps there's a low heat. Maybe you can suddenly use some really wicked Originium arts. You just might actually be able to.
Okay, I don't know how audible that is on the video, but she swung the sword and you can hear a very, very tiny, like, metallic slice and sheen through the air, or rather at the resting point.
No, nothing. The sword is cold and hard. It's a little lighter to swing than a hammer, and not very easy to control your strength with. Is there nothing else? If any part of you feels a little bit off, you should have this polished before it sees the battlefield again. It's a little rusted. It seems we can't count on the sword doing us much of a good turn on and helping us fend off the threat from the shard for the time being.
But it also won't become a bargaining chip in the Duke's internal strife.
Right, Doctor of Rhode Island. It is better for the sword to be under our control than any other faction. At the very least, being able to prevent it from becoming an accomplice to this war is important enough. Important enough? This is important enough. Allerdale, if only I... Please, don't get discouraged, Siege. Maybe you just haven't gotten the hang of it, or it's not time yet. I'm just about done analyzing that supply line, Doctor. It's practically guaranteed that the starting point is rural Brentwood, but it's got a lot of endpoints. Aside from the munitions factory in Highbury, it's very likely they have a route that extends right underneath the shard. We found out way too late. If only we'd found out a month, no, 10 days sooner, these things probably wouldn't have turned out the way they have. That said, the intel about this supply route is still meaningful, Doctor. If this route is capable of the transport of heavy supplies and leads straight to the bottom of the shard,
we can transport more than supplies there. This is an opportunity for a counteroffensive.
That's right. With war having broken out, there may not be a lot of guards around Theresis. Each lord of the royal court has to command their subordinates to fend off the dukes. The liches joining the fray would be a problem, but from what I know about them, they wouldn't truly pick a side. Besides, I'm sure Dame Kal'tsit talked to their messenger before. I just hope that they opted to follow her advice. Now, we'd best...
Vina, you ought to at least bring up what happened in Orport! It's our turf that those sarkaz assholes got it out! Barely's still there! Bloody bastards, instead of a counteroffensive on their supply line, we should be helping them!
Calm down, we must think about the whole situation.
You little twat, you think being a knight gives you the right to teach me to look at the big picture? I give a shit about wiping out some old sarkaz monsters. My friends are in danger. My home is in danger. And you want me to bloody stand aside and do nothing?
No, I know you're restless, but we must consider all possibilities. I do not recommend splitting up. Until we are certain the ones who attempted to take the Realm Blade have given up, you'd best...
Mass cover on the ground like cowards. Give me a break. We can take care of these sneaky bastards. What we have to do now is...
Enough, Indra. Fine. When will the operation targeting Theresis commence? Not very soon. We need time to observe the supply line's specific situation. The shard's internal structure needs to be investigated too. Theresis... he's powerful. Letting our guard down would only spell our doom. How long will it take more specifically? Less than half a month. I hope to put a stop to all of this before he truly activates the shard. That's good enough. Doctor, I am requesting a temporary leave before this operation. Please rest assured that I will be back before the operation is to commence. So you insist on going to Norport? I've lost enough friends already, Clovicia. I can't just do nothing over and over again. I am making this request out of my personal feelings, yes. I won't try to hide this. But at the same time, I think this is an opportunity. Before our normal operation officially begins, we can first remove certain hidden threats. For example, those who hurt Allerdale and those who want the size of kings. That's without a doubt a duke. No matter what position he is planning to take, I think I should have a conversation with him. Ascalon said this already, but time is not on our side. I understand. I will handle this properly. Doctor, what do you think?
There are still things worthy of our attention on that plate.
Right, the Sarkaz airship is very likely docked in Norport. And this also implies Theresa might be there. In this war, we will have to face her sooner or later. There's another thing. Logos mentioned to me.
Emergency! Transmission! Emergency! The sarkaz ambushed the Camden Borough safe house. Their forces...
Camden? What's going on?
Alert! The safe house at Outerick being ambushed.
Feist, the safe house in Highbury is under attack.
What's the situation over there?
We're mounting a counterattack and are evacuating underground. The situation's dire. It's likely that the sarkaz have... This is not a simple annihilation. They are planning to...
Must... Granny? Granny, do you hear me? Drat, the transition's cut off.
What's going on? We had 3 safe houses under attack by the sarkaz.
Their communications have been cut off. We must back them up immediately.
No, it's not just the 3 safe houses. Our communications have been cut off. Get down, Doctor. Clovicia, what's going on? How can this be? Here, this place is top secret within the Self-Salvation Corps. Logos mentioned to me that it's possible that sarkaz have infiltrated our intelligence network. Based on the situation we now find ourselves in, I can only assume that the failure of our confidentiality far exceeds what we anticipated. It's very likely that all Self-Salvation Corps bases are under attack. We must evacuate. Where can we go, though? Everyone, the sarkaz assault is fierce. They've had their eyes on this place for a long time, and our roots on the surface have already fallen.
The mid-level buffer zone has been breached too. Doctor, the enemy is using a new sarkaz witchcraft device. With their numbers and strength, our defense forces and Self-Salvation Corps friends will be able to withstand this assault.
Truth be told, we have no chance of winning. Robin, who is in charge of organizing defense, won't last very long. How much time can they buy us? 15 minutes... No, half an hour. That's all the time we have. Evacuate? Where are we supposed to run? There isn't anywhere safe for the Self-Salvation Corps to go in Londinium. The equipment factory's 3rd warehouse, the car park at the Four Seasons department store, maybe Viscount Bernie's mansion. No, they're all too risky. There has to be somewhere else.
If it's dangerous everywhere in Londinium, we can evacuate the city for the time being.
Evacuate Londinium? But, Right, the sarkaz supply line. We can use that supply line in Highbury and get the hell out of Londinium. We've got too many wounded men and non-combatants. Taking an underground route will help us avoid most of the fighting.
But all our work in Londinium...
The onslaught we are facing tells us that they simply thought they had no need to wipe us out before. Now that the war has broken out, the military commission has started to truly see the Self-Salvation Corps as a threat. We have no time to hesitate. I need to head out immediately to back up Robin. We will try to draw the sarkaz main forces' attention the best we can to cover your evacuation. Very well. Amiya, Doctor, the Self-Salvation Corps will need your assistance in this evacuation. We will never abandon our allies.
Ascalon, mount a breakout. Misery, destroy all the files.
Understood.
Logos,
I am here.
help Horn and her team buy us time.
Rest assured, Doctor. I will guarantee your safety. Before we could finalize plans to relocate and secure our communications, the Royal Court picked the perfect time for this annihilation operation.
It seems they know us better than we ever imagined.
Therese's has also gotten sharper, not like when he was simply pretending. It is certain that this place will fall, I guess. It won't matter if we go all out. Logos, we will be back. You can rebuild this place. Next, we need to find the entrance to the Highbury supply route.
Feist, this is where you come in.
Understood. Everyone, come with me.
Closure, take all the wounded and non-combatants and go with them. I'm counting on you and Shining to take care of kal'tsit.
What? Hey, Doctor, what kind of sick joke is this? If I'm supposed to be a non-combatant, then so are you. You bet your ass I can beat the crap out of you. It's you who should be evacuating with the rest of them.
Amiya and Ascalon will make sure I will be safe. We will hold the sarkaz pursuers. This is the safest way.
Doctor, I won't let you get hurt. So we got 3 teams. Horn, Misery, and Logos will lead the primary operation to resist the sarkaz assault. Doctor, you go with Amiya and Siege's gang to hold the other sarkaz pursuers. Shining and I will follow the rest of the Self-Salvation Corps and evacuate this place without making any noise. Where are we gonna meet up in the end? The small town outside Londinium, Brentwood. Alright, objective confirmed. We're now in war. It won't spare any of us. But we also mustn't lose hope.
Anyway, we do get introduced to new enemies on this stage. At least one new enemy, which is the Sentry Spy. A spy hired by a mysterious employer to monitor their rivals while disguised as civilians. They have obviously undergone professional intelligence training, and the complexity of the blockade taught them even more about carefully observing their environment. I do want to point out one detail here, and that is the fact that the spies, which are hired by a mysterious employer, hint hint, carry green. Anyway, we shall proceed to the after part.
Come in. You're here, Golding. Letu, you know us better than I ever imagined.
What do you mean?
The Londinium Self-Salvation Corps. Where did you get this information from?
Does it matter? Have a seat, Lady Golding. Please, there is no need for you to feel anxious. This war is not between you and I.
Answer me, Lieutenant Colonel.
I know why you came, Golding. You want to buy time. You are under the impression you have enough leverage to discuss terms. You think you can still help your friends. How regrettable. I thought you would be wiser.
We had a conversation not too long ago. You said you did not want to see Londinium become the next Lingoness. Take a look around us. Take a look at the deep abyss that Londinium is plunging into. Is this the choice you made for yourself that you spoke about?
Golding, didn't you rebuke me on that? Correct, we are plunging toward that abyss. War has begun. War once tore apart Gaul, our homeland. What will it tear apart this time? Maybe it will be the sarkaz. Maybe it will be Victoria.
You know how disastrous this will be. Hundreds of thousands, millions of people will
bleed, die, and buried by this era.
You know that better than anyone.
That is correct. I know this very well. But I must also admit that it was you who opened my eyes. You made me reflect on my decision. If I had to question my consciousness, I would not have cared nearly as much. Let us cast aside those hypocritical high hopes of mankind or civilization, Golding. When we were young, we talked freely of these subjects and, with nothing but admiration in our hearts, sung the praises of the outstanding men and women in history. Mankind, the master of all things. Our intelligence and bravery set us apart from wild beasts and graced these lands with this radiant miracle. But if we simply lifted our heads from the books and compare, we would realize how close their endings are to the reality before us. The same downfalls, the same rottenness, the same self-destruction. What if all those things we sing the praises of were nothing but temporary illusions? What if believing that they are eternal makes us naive? What if destruction was our true nature?
You weren't so pessimistic before, Letu.
Pessimistic. Golding, you are so kind with your choice of words. You described my crazy musings as just pessimistic. I thought I warranted harsher criticism. It seems you are not as resolute as I thought you would be. I am simply exhausted. I merely started to try facing reality. It is very painful, but I have no other choice. As for the conversation we had the other day, I can now offer you a new answer. I did not choose any misfortune for myself, Lady Golding. I only wanted to survive this ceaseless destruction. It's pitiful and weak, insignificant and inadequate, but this is the answer I arrived at, and it is the only one I have to offer. What else can I do?
You're a soldier. You should have...
Followed orders? Whose orders should I have followed? The king is dead. The sarkaz run the parliament, and each duke has its own master plan.
You could have...
Become a hero? At what cost? What if the price is not one that I can afford? When you walked into the room, did you see the eyes of the guards standing by the door? The officers under me, my comrades, and those bewildered young men. Till has 5 children. Sasan's mother has been paralyzed for 3 years, and Toten's brother has erypathy. The vampires will suck their blood dry.
Bowing down will not prevent anything.
At the very least, nothing has happened yet. As of today. Golding, it's my hope that you survive this as well. Speaking personally. Fundamentally, you and I might just be of a kind. It's only that I have chosen to give up, while you are still standing firm.
You and I are nothing alike.
You asked me where I obtained the information on the Ladinium Self-Salvation Corps. Very well, I shall answer you. From a cowardly teacher.
What are you saying?
Look at yourself, Golding. Your blunders and the tracks you left behind are owed to your cowardice and fear. Sentimental kinds have never been a good fit for the intelligence work. You've known that from the start.
No, it can't be.
There's been a lot of chatter on my communications here. The sarkaz ambushed the Camden Borough safe house. Their forces... Alert, a safe house at Outerik.
Hello? Can anyone hear me? This is the Magna Borough safe house. We're under... No.
Golding, they're dying because of you. You pushed them into the fire. This is what your fight brings. And for that, I can only mourn.
There's too many men. They're well equipped, and they're working far too well with each other. Mercenaries are incapable of this. These are military elites. Each and every one of them is a bloodthirsty machine who dug his way out of 1,000 battles.
Out of the way, a lot of ya!
Indra, watch your back! This isn't going to work. We are on the back foot right now. I will locate the position of their commander. Amiya, maintain formation. Don't stop. I got it. Damn, there's more of them down this alley. Stay close, Doctor. We will cut our way through.
Go forward 300 meters and take the first left.
Who's that?
Hurry up. There are more ambushers on the roof.
Doctor, did you hear that? That voice? Watch out for their arts. Cut through this danger zone. Hold on tight, Doctor.
Left.
Let's listen to that voice.
I hate being ordered around. Fine.
"50 meters, and to your right."
Bloody, that's a wall there!
No. Some kind of illusion, perhaps? Chart through it.
Illusionary walls, we are Dark Souls now.
There is no one I hate more than a sneaky bastard like you. Show yourself!
That assassin of yours has already taken down the commander of your pursuers. You are safe for the time being.
I said show yourself!
Her name is Ascalon, is it? Impressive.
Doctor, behind me! Who are you?
Please, there is no need to fret, dear Rhode Islanders. A few of my colleagues just touched base with Alexandrina not too long ago. Alas, it did not go too well.
You are the man behind Ellerdale. Show yourself. I won't say it again.
Please, lower your hammer, your highness. You're merely wasting your strength. As heir to the throne, from a certain viewpoint at least, you should have a bit more patience. You said so yourself not too long ago, that we should have a conversation.
You had the self-salvation cord tapped.
Their evacuation plan will be successful. Do note that this is a promise, not sarcasm. My sincerest pleasure to meet all of you, ladies and gentlemen. I hope there yet remains room for our objectives to coexist.
An Ashen Trilby?
Very perceptive, Lady Isabel Montague. I should have expected no less from a scion of the Count of Manchester. Indeed, we are often referred to as the Trilby Ashers. Should you have the chance, please send your mother my regards.
You...
Please, there is no need for alarm, Lady Montague. I harbor no ill will against you and your friends at the moment.
Is the arts gimmick you have over there a gesture of your goodwill too? I'm not fond of having conversations next to a pile of explosives.
This is merely a precaution.
Well then, here's a precaution too.
Lower your weapon, Miss Ascalon. This is not worth it. Rhode Island Pharmaceuticals made a series of passage and coal permits requests for so-called industrial waste recycling and processing purposes, currently hiding within the territory of the Duke of Gododin. Currently 631 kilometers away from Londinium.
And what if we are?
Miss Amiya, I surmise your recycling work is proceeding apace?
You know Rhode Island well.
We do merely what must be done. You have been very careful. You charted your course and built a well-hidden supply network around your ship. You wish to avoid Victoria's attention. And you almost fooled us. Regardless of whether your intentions are good or otherwise, would you agree that discretion is the worst quality there is to a ruler?
Who do you serve, Mr. Trilby Asher?
If at all possible, I would say that I serve Victoria. Alas, the reality is that I serve only a small part of Victoria. This small part is more than enough to keep me well occupied, however.
Which means you work for one of the dukes. If the Duke of Wellington saw us as a threat, Rhode Island would already have been attacked. The Duke of Windermere's control has yet to reach Duke Gododin's territory, not by a long shot. From what I know, the Duke of Normandy is more interested in business. Most other dukes are fence-sitters. You work for Castor.
Doctor, the commander of Rhode Island. There exists very little information on you. We were under the impression that this was due to a lack of importance. We will reevaluate our internal appraisal.
What is Rhode Island worth to that part of Victoria you speak of?
We actually do not have much of an interest in a so-called pharmaceutical company that deals in waste recycling. But your operator has a very unique background. Moreover, she possesses something important.
You failed once, but you still haven't given up.
This is my job, Your Highness. Let us not make things harder for each other. This sword is nothing more than a heavy rod of iron in your hands. What do you intend to do with it? Can you really cut through the catastrophe that looms above us? It is a mere tale. You cannot wield it to its true potential.
What does Duke of Castor want to do with it then?
To fulfill a promise.
A promise?
To bring her followers peace and safety. We do indeed have certain technologies that can immediately put this blade to good use, just as the size of kings once sheltered Londinium. The Duke wishes for this blade to become a turning point for unity.
In that case, those who aren't on your side will deservedly be swallowed by the catastrophe.
That is how it will become that turning point.
Doctor, I will make my move in 3 seconds. We must escape the situation. Our operators on the land ship are more than capable of taking care of the crisis that could soon unfold, and so we have to take this risk. 3, 2, 1. All of you seem pretty tense. Perhaps I came at a bad time. Right on time. Ines. Mr. Trilby Asher, you have to admit that you came well prepared. 13 small communication stations, with 4 of them triggered passively. They were set up to automatically send out orders if they don't receive your message after 10 minutes. I didn't want to venture a guess as to what orders they were meant to send out, so I took the liberty of crushing them all. I hope you don't mind. Your subordinates were very strong, even after they heard the word vampire. That said, I believe that aside from the sarkaz royal court, there are certain others hiding in the city who would be very interested to learn of their existence. Tell me, where do you suppose I should take them?
Ines, former sarkaz mercenary. It's hardly surprising that you are still alive. We've determined for some time now that someone was behind all these little tricks around Londinium. You've done very well. Who knew that there is a sizable number of sarkaz mercenaries inclined to leave the military commission's control, but we both know what does not come without a cost, don't we? Your business partner might be in fairly dire straits.
Perhaps we should be a little more blunt with each other. I know you have more tricks up your sleeve, and you know we still have more trump cards in our hand. Let's stop probing each other. Your shadow tells me you are wavering.
Very well, let's make a deal. I have a tricky mission, but as you can see, I am not much for fighting and adventure.
So you want someone to die in your stead?
I have faith in your abilities. Certainly you have already seen the airship that is currently parked at the now isolated Norport Borough. Make your way there and get your hands on its schematics.
What's in it for me?
You get to live. For now. You, your friends, your allies, your wounded, and your landship all get to remain alive for the time being. This is no trouble at all to Victoria, but as for the rest of you...
Deal. Can I just say that the phrase "you get to live for now" is turning into some kind of catchphrase of this chapter? Why? I do not know. Anyway, Ines is finally here. So let us continue on to stage 12-4, our final stage for today. Titled Unity is Luxury. All are equal before the flames of war. Do not entrust all your hope to others and lose sight of your own strength.
Oh, quick to answer, Doctor of Rhode Island. A safe location has been sent to Alexandrina's terminal. Please stand by there. I cannot guarantee your safety for any actions you take outside of our agreement.
My terminal? When did...
You have some impressive talents among your ranks. That's very good. They should contribute to our common goal instead of becoming an obstacle to our cooperation. Right?
This isn't completely up to us.
Of course, we must slowly build our trust. Please await our next communication.
I do want to point out that it is definitely very impressive that they managed to crack the channels, communication channels for the Rhode Island personnel, considering that the person behind those is Closure, essentially, the coding and everything, and design, so whoever they have on their side is definitely a crackhead. Anyway,
Doctor, I need to contact Closure and reevaluate the safety of Rhode Island's communications. Until then, maintain radio silence. Of course, we also need to take care of issues regarding the landship's calling procedures. Thank you, Ines.
hello Ines. Is this the first time we've met?
I'm afraid not.
I've lost some of my memories.
I'm aware. This is our first meeting for this version of you. Have you really lost your memories? Or is this part of your plan?
I forgot about lots of things indeed.
I've never been quick to judge, Doctor, I can sense that you've gone through some changes. We'll have a lot of time to get reacquainted in the future. Rather than trusting verbal statements, I prefer to see things for myself. Ines, the doctor... Relax, Amiya. My prejudices won't be a factor. For now.
There it is again. This is her catchphrase. This is the catchphrase for this entire chapter. For now. Why? I guess it's cool. Anyway. The evacuation is almost complete.
Good. We need to get out of here ASAP.
That's Sarkaz from Rhode Island. Is his name Logos?
And I thought we'd seen all of the surprises Rhode Island's fighting style had to offer, having fought alongside Misery all this time.
Right, it doesn't matter who exactly he is. His cursecraft has been a great help. And he is a great darts player too. Ladies and gents and everybody else, Logos lore. He's a great darts player. Did we need to know this? Yes, 1,000,000%. I played against him for a couple rounds. His accuracy might just be as terrifying as those arts of his.
A friend of mine taught me a couple tricks before, that's all. He's no match for me in a chair sliding match, but when it comes to darts, he's not so bad. Horn, the Sarkaz forces have retreated. We should seize this opportunity.
According to the plan, Rhode Island and the Self-Salvation Corps will take the supply route, head toward the exit and make their way to a town called Brentwood to build a new safe house there. We will regroup with them there. I suggest we charge toward the city walls. Norport Borough is gone, and even though the Sarkaz have patched up the walls, they wouldn't have had enough time to build new plates to fill the hole there. The exposed underground structure might just help us somehow.
Looks like I've met another old friend.
The one who taught you to play darts?
Regrettably, no. Unlike this old friend, my friends are loyal to one another until our deaths. Everyone, I'm afraid I still have matters to attend to within the city. Horn is more than capable of leading you outside Londinium, and my co-worker Misery will also lend you his assistance, should the need arise.
Understood. Stay hidden, everyone. Follow me.
Are the mountains of the past really so worthy of reminiscing? Blood and tears are nothing to be obsessed with.
I must say I'm not entirely fascinated by them. But what if the mountains are the only place there is left to stay? What if only the light of glory there can give us warmth?
And here I thought I'd hunted enough of you.
This is the 31st Molly. You are a hard-working one, Banshee.
But you prevailed nonetheless. You helped Therese's decimate the Self-Salvation Corps.
That's business.
I would pry up every tile in Londinium to find the last of your hidden shards, the Matzi. You yet refute the possibility of change. This has always been your choice.
A little arrogant, aren't we, young Banshee? We understand change. We come from change itself. But change is merely a means to adaptation. All change has a final objective. Even before the Sarkaz found themselves in this state, we had long been walking upon the lands. Ideologies, fates, missions, slogans, none of them can escape the sands of time. Those ideas you mistake as novel have been conceived long ago. The paths you deem noble have been paved, time and again. And where are they now? We yet still before you. and that is the greatest proof.
Bang! Bang, bang! You
should have some strength. You should save some strength, Kader. You've eaten more than enough. Delphin has talked to you about your appetite problem already. We're much worse off than we used to be now.
Relax, Baird. Things haven't completely gone to shit yet. Ham devils are nearly as strong as they look, and all they did was catch us off guard. Had a chat with Marshall from the Transport Union. They have a group of men over there. Once we rope in more people on our end, we might just stand a chance to defeat the Sarkaz. Just like how we joined forces with those other gangs to take the cops down. Jump them from behind, get the job done clean. Pow pow, bam! A couple of punches, that's all it takes.
The Sarkaz army isn't cops.
I know. They're a force to be reckoned with. But we aren't afraid of blood. We aren't afraid of sacrifices. We will walk over our fallen comrades and smash their faces in with our fists. Like our gym's name, Slobberknocker. Marshall and I worked it out. He'll definitely win.
Just like those bootleg Lungman videos you collect, hmm?
I'm serious, I've been around the block in Orport not much shorter than you. We need to find a way out of this mess ourselves, just like before. That siege of yours just up and left Glasgow all those years ago, and our turf got handed over, just like that. And it was you and I who wrecked our brains to figure out how to gain a foothold here again. This is nothing different than before. We stand together, get prepared, and beat them all up. That's how we've made it this far. It doesn't matter how things are outside. Out on the streets, we do things the street way. Next, we just gotta find ourselves the right moment.
Looks like Delphine's back.
Did old Baldy Purr finally give in? Given the circumstances, we were paying a pretty decent price. I'm sure he... What's this? Is it blood?
Old Baldyper is dead.
The Sarkaz... No, not the Sarkaz. Damn it, I have no idea who they were. But they were already at it when we got to the store. They were a bloodthirsty bunch. I saw with my own eyes. There was this man with a crowbar pinning another man on the floor. That man even...
The situation's bad. My guess is some starving bum set his sights on Per's shop. The idiot still had bread in his glass showcase. And it went as you expect. You can more or less guess just how many of those bums there are in this lockdown district.
Bloody idiots. Whatever they have been sniffing must have finally gotten to their heads.
I know the man with the crowbar. He's a tail hair product salesman. Always had a smile on his face. I bought from him a number of times since he gave me discounts. They aren't all that good though. I saw him just now. His eyes were deep red. There was blood on his lips. That crowbar was completely bent. I almost didn't recognize him. Fear is spreading, Kader.
The Transport Union guys did say there could be cowards going nuts, but how could...
Barricade the door! What are you spacing out for? Make yourself useful. Kader, push that sofa over here.
Bloody bastards, what do the lot of you want? No response from the outside. Now piss off! We've got people alive in here! This is Glasgow's territory! Still no response. Baird, watch out! A fire axe smashes through the gym's thick door and breaks open a hole. The sharp axe brushes past Baird's hair. A few strands of her hair flutter in the air. I said it already. We've got people still bloody alive in here! Gator presses against the door with his body and grabs the axe peeking through the hole back with his 2 hands. The man outside makes several attempts to pull the axe back in vain.
I don't care who the hell you are, but get out of my sight. I'll have this axe in your brain.
No response still. The axe wobbles a few times, and after a few heavy kicking sounds on the door, the man outside finally gives up. Their chaotic footsteps slowly growing quieter.
Your hand, your fingers. Good thing the bandages are the last thing we'll run out of in a gym. Baird, Delphine, we need to take inventory of all our resources again. I'll take down a couple of sandbags to reinforce the front door. These people, have they gone mad? The citizens of Norport Borough, they're all upstanding men, basically. What about the police? They were always so quick to write tickets. If I were a cop so unlucky as to not make it out of this plate in time, I would definitely have locked myself in my home with my weapon at the ready by now. I need to head over to the transport union later. The people here still trust Marshall. Everyone listens to him. He'll find a way. Damn it. Bloody hell. The sarkaz are still out there. These people are out of their minds. How could they... What should we do now? Gator said we just had to wait for...
An opportunity? Mr. Next Academician, are you aware of the Great Fire in Norport 15 years ago?
Oh yes, I've heard. It was in the port, if I recall.
It doesn't actually take very much to burn down the port. All you need is scorching hot weather, a warehouse full of wood shavings, and a cigarette butt not fully extinguished. No one can put out a fire like that. All we can do is watch everything burn to ashes.
And we obviously proceed into our battle stage, but we shall first add 2 new entries into our menagerie of units. One of them being the Pathfinder Spy Master, a spy hired by a mysterious employer to monitor their rivals while disguised as civilians. These seasoned operatives will occasionally employ less orthodox methods to get their more impatient rivals to let down their guard. The other one is the Sentry Spy Master, a spy hired by a mysterious employer to monitor their rivals while disguised as civilians. They know the blockade inside out and prefer to first gather enough crucial information before proceeding to the next step of their plans. And while I'm at it, just because I forgot to check this, let me just take a small peek if they're green. No, they're still red here. So this definitely did change. Okay, just wanted to make sure. Anyway, let's proceed with the after part.
These munition factories are all empty.
We hauled away 2 production lines and tore down the others. The situation was dire. We didn't know how long we had until these sarkaz mercenaries caught on to what we were up to in the factories. Otherwise, we could have taken even more equipment.
Hi, Burry. This new industrial district feels rather different from the old district I was in. In Sudan, we were more like spanners hammering away to knock together everything at all costs, but here, these production lines, I don't know, maybe you guys are more like gears, turning ever so stably day in and day out.
We're used to it. That's how shocking human adaptability is. Found it. It's here.
Why are these symbols carved on the collection boxes?
Years ago, our workshop used these as code words to let each other know when to slack off. Never did I imagine they would one day come in handy.
Looks like workers everywhere just want to catch a breather, no matter the cost.
Let's see. Pay to reorganize most of the self-servation corps from the other districts. The Highbury safe house was ambushed too, but a few of the pipelines deeper into the plate that's used as rest stops weren't discovered. They should be there. I'm back. I marked the positions of all the sarkaz sentries. There's not a whole lot of them, but looks like all of the manpower in the city is either headed to the front lines or followed the others. Closure, I still can't say I agree with you installing your voice banks on my drones. Hey, don't forget I helped upgrade this drone of yours. Alright, enough chit-chat. I just heard from Ascalon that some of our communication systems might have been compromised by some Victorian duke. I don't really buy that they can hack us all the way through, but just to be safe, I'm gonna run a whole security audit. Feist, have you confirmed where the rendezvous point is? It's confirmed. Awesome. Let's see. We may have Shining as our super bodyguard, but she still has to take care of the wounded, so avoid fighting at all costs. Got it? Got it. You guys go on ahead and make contact with the remaining Self-Salvation Corps fighters first. Clovicia and I will work on the evacuation. Let's go, Rock.
Right.
What's the matter?
No, nothing. I was just thinking, was Highbury always this quiet?
Going by the temperature in the air, there's no furnace burning in the neighborhood. That isn't a good sign. We need to act fast. We should be able to make it deeper through this maintenance access. Who's there? Feist, it's me! Tommy, you're here! You should have waited for us down there. The sarkaz army has just cleared out of our safe houses. There might still be patrols up here. I know, we suffered pretty heavy losses. They broke his arm too. Catherine gave him first aid. How much longer until the rest of your group gets here? They should already have left. Don't worry, there's a professional doctor among them. She will take care of his arm. Alright. Our people are all over the lower level of maintenance access K13. I heard the Self-Salvation Corps are going to evacuate from Londinium. Only for the time being. We will be back, Tommy. We're the Londinium Citizens Self-Salvation Corps. It's just that we need to get our wounded somewhere safe, and there are none in Londinium. Alright. Now head on down. Catherine keeps it to herself, but we can tell she's worried sick about you. Have you heard about what happened to Norport? Good gracious, the sarkaz plucked the whole plate up and tossed it out of the city. I heard that Flying Fortress even destroyed I heard the Flying Fortress even destroyed a Duke's high-speed warship. A high-speed warship! War has broken out, Feist, but I've never truly experienced it before. I used to think that joining the Self-Salvation Corps would be no different than before. I thought I'd be standing in front of an assembly line turning screws, and the only difference would be that the weapons go to you instead. This is our home. Of course, Londinium's our home too. We belong here and nowhere else, right?
If you ask me, I think I've shown more than enough good faith already.
Hardly unexpected. We too have noticed the sarkaz secret transportation network for some time now. But it's true that there are certain details that are worth getting to the bottom of, and we will continue our investigation with a focus on these areas. And have a decent guess as to who is behind some of these events.
I hope you will share the results of your continued investigation with us.
Of course, just as I previously promised. Rhode Island's response is fast. Your terminal signals have already been re-encrypted. If the opportunity ever arises, I would love to meet your engineer Closure.
She might not like you.
I must say, for a pharmaceutical corporation, your company is home to a variety of talents. That said, Her Grace has never been one to refuse new friends in lieu of making enemies. Not to mention that Her Grace and Alexandrina are related by blood. She is more than willing to care for her young relative.
Please do let her know how appreciative I am of her looking out for me.
Your Royal Highness, I may yet call you so out of respect, but this does not represent my position whatsoever.
You can choose to call me Siege.
Victoria is a heavy burden, Your Royal Highness. It is nowhere nearly as vivid and vibrant as it seems on the surface. The return of a certain person, no matter who she is or what she calls herself, is of no benefit to the nation. If, under certain specific circumstances, that person were to use her identity and influence inappropriately, she might even do the nation harm. That is my personal viewpoint.
Then you'd best keep your personal viewpoint to yourself. I'm sure you know that my amenability to this peace between us does not equate to tolerance of your clichés.
Your Royal Highness, there is no reason for this animosity between us. I am simply following orders, and I've more than demonstrated my goodwill within the bounds of my responsibilities.
Then perhaps your demonstration hasn't been very clear. That or our definitions of goodwill are different.
Wouldn't my suggestion that you should make your way to Norport count? If I am not wrong, you have a friend who is currently trapped there. I thought you would see that I am very much putting myself in your shoes as I advocate for this partnership. I'm doing you a favor. My goal is to obtain the schematics. You are free to do anything else you deem necessary, including rescuing your friend. If you would offer that blade in your hand, I could even offer my personal assistance.
You can save your disgusting hypocrisy. Listen, I don't so much as want to think about what you and that Duke you work for are scheming. Stay out of my way and get out of my sight. And you better remember this. For what happened to Ellerdale, you and I and your master still have a score to settle. And you'd better believe it will be settled.
Of course. I just got word that the Duke's special response team has already made all the preparations necessary for you to evacuate Londinium and board Norport Borough. Let us be off.
Mr. Trilby Asher, since the moment I first saw you, when I realized just how solid of a grasp the Duke has on Rhode Island's communications, I've been thinking, you've always been able to do this, haven't you?
What do you mean?
You've always known what everyone is up to, whether it's us, the Sarkaz, or the Self-Salvation Corps.
It's nowhere nearly as simple or comprehensive as you would imagine. We've always found it very tricky to stay thoroughly informed on these Sarkaz, especially certain men of the royal court. Many of my colleagues have lost their lives because of this.
But you've always had a good understanding of the tides. Why did you, and especially the dukes behind you, let things turn out like this?
The Council region is a formidable opponent, and my guess is even old Wellington would admit this. The Council military commissions, technology, and equipment leave a deep impression.
When coming from the executor of a Victorian duke's will, this just sounds like sarcasm. Based on our analysis, Therese's may be formidable, but his strength alone is not enough for Victoria to fall to such lows, where it finds itself at the mercy of others. And now I get it. You chose to do nothing. You simply watched as the flames of war engulfed your country.
Amiya, the little leader of Rhode Island. How old are you? 15? 16? You are still a child even. You despise blood and war, but let me clarify this. We are not very fond of these things either. But to us, the objective of war is never war itself. War is an extension of politics. The sarkaz needs a war to unite themselves, and Victoria doesn't necessarily lack the need for one. However, around whom we unite is worthy of discussion.
And for just that, you...
This is very important. It is far more important than you could imagine. War is cruel. Suffering and death follow in its wake. It exposes our barest, truest forms to one another. It tears all of our disguises. At certain stages of history's ever forward march, we need this kind of honesty. All of us do. Now make your preparations, Rhode Island. It is time for us to depart.
Molly? They caught you too? Ledu, she's just a teacher. The children in school still need to be cared for. You have already destroyed what you came to destroy. Must you drag even more innocents into this mess?
You're here, Your Excellency.
The Banshee came looking for trouble with one of us again.
I will send a unit to provide support.
No need. Taking a walk with him isn't so bad. You should go to the old Red Eye. He had just opened a new bottle of wine, waiting for you, and we have already grown tired of his stories of yesteryear. You are a much better listener than us.
Understood. Please pardon me then.
You...
Golding's throat has never felt this dry. The person in front of her looks and acts exactly the same as the Molly she remembers, down to the tiniest movements. She's always frowning a little, watching every move of the mischievous children. At supper time, she would hand out bread to everyone and chastise anyone who hasn't washed hands. Her expression is the same as ever, but for some reason... The drop of sweat dripping down Golding's back seeps into her clothes.
Lance scratched his thumb again yesterday, but don't worry, I put on some ointment. He's always such a handful. What are you? The teacher has made it back to the school already. She will take care of the children, I'm sure. How about a chat? Relax, it's just a chat. If you still don't feel comfortable, we can continue to use the identity of the owner of this appearance around you. Why don't we talk about the weather first, or perhaps the children's studies? There is the play too, Lady Golding. Merely thinking about it brings tears to my eyes. The children have all grown so big in just a blink of an eye. Enough! Stop talking to me like you're Molly. Stop using that face, you monster! What do you want? Would you like a cup of tea? Leto has pretty fine tastes, and his tea here is exquisite. We finally have a satisfying outcome for all the missions Therese's handed us. Now we can take a short break. How long have you been around me? Not as long as you think. Can we skip the boring work talk though? It's break time right now. We want to do something that we are truly interested in. For example, we want to know what you think about this era and your conclusions around all this. I don't understand. You used me to destroy the Self-Salvation Corps. I should have no more value to you anymore. Damn it. I handed all this out to myself. Don't blame yourself. This is no big deal at all. We had all the kinds of ways to locate the Self-Salvation Corps stronghold. You are not the only lead we have. This may sound a little hurtful, but you aren't even the most important one. But we do indeed have a little bit of interest on you. We enjoyed your work and chatting with you. So, let's have a chat together. There is nothing more to this. It's just a conversation. We've had conversations like this many times, with countless of identities, with countless others. But we are still confused. We still don't want to give up any chances that could lead to an answer. Lady Golding, How do you think we should live?
You can bet your sweet, sweet, sweet behinds that I am keeping you on that cliffhanger now. Especially after what I said myself in the opening. But we are not done yet. 12.4 is the first stage that will open the first entry up here in the Cleaner's Collection. So we will read this one and then we shall officially end. So, first and foremost, Cleaner's Collection. A box of personal effects treasured by a cleaner wandering Norport Borough. The box contains many ownerless objects collected from the Tattered District. Perhaps it can help you uncover the dark side of the city, buried beneath the dust of the battlefield. And we begin with this one, which is Purr's Gold Tooth. As a quick reminder, Purr is the individual we just heard from the Glasgow gang, and I'm not talking about Siege and her portion of the gang, I'm talking about the Glasgow gang that we just got to meet in this chapter with I am forgetting names already, with Cater, Baird, Delphine, and the others. And Purr, is the owner of the bakery they have mentioned just earlier in a cutscene, and obviously he has perished. And this is a story about him, so strap yourselves in. So then, Purr's Gold Tooth. I seriously can't believe that Purr, the old baldy, ended up choking to death on his own bread. The stench from the crumbs lodged in his throat was enough to make you vomit. He loved showing off. Every morning he'd stand there in that stinky ditch and show off that big old grin with his mouthful of gold tooth to attract the customers. I swear, it'd make my own teeth itch with envy. Purr would always scrub his bread cabinet squeaky clean every day, and he'd boast about his loaves every time he met someone. He'd often show a couple of slices my way in exchange for some words of praise about how great it was that his fortune was trickling down, but I knew that he didn't want me to discuss his circumstances by standing in front of the store. But ever since the devil started frequenting Norport, his business gradually became harder to run. Even his precious gold tooth disappeared, leaving an empty hole behind to complement his bald head. Yes, compliment. That's the word Purr taught me. He told me that his gold tooth had been taken by those bread-snatching bastards. But that gave me some relief, at least knowing that there was some karmic justice in our rich friends getting the short end of the stick. Right when Norport Borough was driven away, I warned Purr to lock his doors and hide, but instead of listening, he even mocked me, saying that the reason I never made any money in life was because I was too lily-livered. But now the lily-livered one is still alive. That day, I hid in a nearby block, waiting to start my work, praying that nothing would happen to the old baldy. But even in the end, I never heard his voice. I thought he managed to make it out, but never imagined that even his dead body would get mutilated beyond belief by those bread-snatching madmen. When I helped tidy up his body, I discovered a small piece of bread lodged in his throat, in which the missing gold tooth was hidden. No wonder why I didn't hear his voice that whole time. Alas, even this tragedy, this greedy old baldy wanted to cling to his precious treasure before he died. I'm sad that an old friend is dead, but what really kills me is that he made a cheap fake into his treasure. Purr's not such a bad man. From the bottom of my heart, I swear I was quite fond of the old baldy, but he was simply too much of a money grubber. But then again, who isn't? And yes, there is the gold tooth, and it says here at the bottom, all Baldy Purr's business in the district was doing so well it may as well have been on fire, but his appearance was the laughingstock of his customers. He even scared away more than a few noblewomen. In a stroke of ingenuity, he got himself a new gold tooth to bless his bakery with good fortune. He never expected his shop to really take off like that. Rip old Baldy is all I can say. Now I do wonder, based on that story and considering the little symbols here being a bridge, a shovel, a top hat, and what looks to be like a prism, if all of these are gonna be about the random people that are gonna be somewhere mentioned during the story, and we are just gonna be learning about the fates of random citizens in the background and how brutal they ended up with. But I guess we'll see as we are gonna be progressing with this narration forward. But anyway, this is gonna be the end. Ugh, I'm stammering. It's been a long recording. Pardon. But yeah, this will be the end here. So thank you very much for listening. And of course, like always, if you like this, please consider leaving a like on the video. It would help me a lot. And of course, as always, mean a lot to me as well. It will help a lot in the algorithm, that's for sure. And of course, if you're new to the channel and like this narration, please consider subscribing. There's a lot on the channel that you can just sit back, relax, and listen to. So maybe not on par with how far we've come with the narrations. Obviously, it's a learning experience, but you know. And of course, since recently, there are also memberships available on the channel if you want to support the channel directly. And I will, as always, reconfirm with you guys that I will never put a video behind membership payments or something like that. They are just there to literally support the channel more directly. So thank you very much. Or you can just leave a super thanks. That is also enabled, but that's besides the point. Anyway, thank you very much for listening. And as always, I hope you have a fantastic day wherever you are. And I will see you in the next part. Until then, bye-bye.